Welcome back then folks to day 2 of Special Projects pack number 19, and this is a deep cut reference of a pretty cute idea for a racing event, if you will. It's kind of super low budget K-car endurance racing called K4GP. There seem to be a bunch of different subcategories within the race. It would appear from the livery that this is like a GP2, I think it is, class car, if I recall correctly, and you'll see it on screen here, of course. It's a Honda Beat, of course, and this is a real vehicle. There's a YouTube video of this guy who just was out in Japan, randomly found this car, basically rotting away, which is a shame, and he kind of looks under the back end, and it doesn't look like anything particularly crazy has been done to the engine, at least from what I could see. So what I've opted to do is, in line with the spirit of the race, which is basically like hundreds of these K-cars racing around Fuji for like 12 hours or something like that, which actually does sound really fun. They are on a budget. So what I've tried to do with that is use this as kind of an off-the-shelf even, kind of build with like sports parts instead of racing stuff, which makes it a bit cheaper and kind of, it feels right, if you will, because I don't know what the actual spec of this car would have been. I'm sure somebody knows, but it seems pretty obscure as to what it would have been, so I've gone not that much higher than standard K-car numbers. They're usually around 63 horses. This is about 67, as you can see. Dropped the weight. We've treated it to some nice tyres. It's pretty cool that a player did create this ultra-obscure livery for it as well. Now, as far as the parts, I don't recall why, but I do have a few things fitted on this one which you don't actually need. I think what I might have done is I may have been building this to be something else and then repurposed it into this replica instead. So there are certain things that you won't need, and of course I'll point those out as we go. So as far as all of this stuff, you do need it. So we've got the sports computer, the sports filter, silencer and pads, the stage 1 weight reduction. There's no level 5 extreme one on this one, so just work through the weight levels as you go. It's got the comfort mediums anyway. That's probably more realistic. I've gone for sports softs, just to basically treat the car and just make it even more fun through corners. And it's still only 435 points, so it's not like it's breaking the bank on points anyway. So I'll leave it down to you if you want to go for those or not. We've got the clutch and flywheel, of course the discs as well, stage 2 weight, the power restrictor and the ballast. Not that you really need it on this car anyway. For the semi-racing stuff, like I said, this is where there are a couple of things which you don't actually need. The sports computer you don't need on this one because we already had, or I should say the fully customised computer you don't need because we have the sports one. We've got the fully customised diff, body rigidity, stage 3 weight, the fully customised manual box. For the racing stuff, likewise, you don't need that particular air filter. We've got the fully customised suspension. That's probably a bit of overkill compared to what the real car would have, but it does give you that extra level of tunability. Again, racing hard's not necessary at all for this particular one. For the extreme stuff, why not go for the steering angle? Makes the turn in even better. And then for the ultimate stuff, there's really nothing there. So if you stick to just the things which we're actually using, rather than those racing bits and bobs, which, as I said, you don't need, it is pretty low budget, which, of course, is the whole point of the real race. Now, I didn't take it out to Fuji, which probably would have been more appropriate, but the reason why I didn't do that is because with the speed of this car, or lack thereof, it would have probably been a pretty boring replay to watch, so we'll take it out to the track in a second. But as far as the actual upgrades, we've got the sports softs fitted. For the suspension, 95mm, 6 on anti-roll, 25 and 35 for the dampers, 3.10 on the springs, just a little bit of camber on the front and the back, 0.5, no toe on the front. I don't personally find that this one needs it. Towed in 0.20 on the rear. Then for the diff, 10, 20 and 30. Relatively close ratios on the gearbox, 180 kilometers an hour. So what's that, like 110, 120-ish miles an hour, somewhere around there. Some people might still find it to have gearing that's a little longer than you would need, but I'd say it feels about right for this car. No ballast, no power restriction. As far as the downforce, if I recall, and you should be able to pretty easily tell when you download the livery, I did make a note on this one, on my grand list of special projects, that I changed the front bumper. So you'll have to double check on that, what the bumper was versus what I've got now. And you should see, if that is the case, a pretty clear visual distinction. But regardless, I've got the downforce set low, primarily because it's already low on the back, so it keeps it a bit more even. And also, of course, if you increase the front, not only does it offset it a bit and make it uneven compared to the rear, if you don't have a rear wing, that is, but also it just increases the point level for no real good reason. It's only a 67 horsepower car at the end of the day, so it's not like you really need it. And then, of course, we've got all the other stuff fitted there. So, of course, all that remains is to jump out to the track. Like I said, not Fuji on this occasion. I took it out to Automotive instead to show you what the car can do in practice. Now, I will say, and this isn't too surprising given it's a lightweight mid-engine rear-wheel drive car, it does have a little bit of oversteer. You can kind of kick that tail out just a little bit, but the super short wheelbase definitely helps. grips. It's not like this car's going to be sliding around all over the place like a Shelby Cobra or something. It's really fun to use, and although I believe this is even lower in terms of budget, it definitely gives me the vibe of like the Super Taiku builds that I did in previous packs. I did, what was it, at least 3 of those for like the Mazda Demio and that kind of thing, but even those feel quicker than this for the most part, if I recall correctly. This one though, super fun. I always like to kind of throw one of these really low level cars into most packs just to really change things up, and you know, it's the kind of racing where, much like in real life, it doesn't really matter about having a crazy amount of horsepower. It's fun in a totally opposite kind of way. And I could imagine if you and your friends were to build a bunch of these different K4GP cars, you could have some really fun races. And it's almost a shame, and I mean, I don't know how the server would cope, but it's a shame that you can't have loads and loads of people starting a race on a certain track like Fuji, because then you could really capture the spirit of that kind of endurance event with, I believe it's something like 250 cars in real life that begin the race, which is utterly insane. I don't even know how you could fit 250k cars on Fuji. Super cool, really obscure kind of racing, at least over here in the West, I guess. If you do decide to use it, I hope you have fun with it. Of course, stick around for the other builds coming up this week, including one later today. And for now, thanks for watching.